Good evening. My name is Mark Sanchez. Today we're going to talk about Tango Blast, a notorious prison gang born in the Texas Department of Corrections. I currently work as a unit counselor down at KDOC for El Dorado, and I don't have to deal with Tango Blast anymore, but I'd like to go ahead and introduce you to that gang I dealt with for about 10 years. Tango Blast differs from your traditional prison gangs like the Mexican Mafia and the Texas Syndicate. They follow a blood in, blood out policy, meaning you have to kill somebody to get in, and you will never leave the gang. Blood out is you're gonna die. Tango Blast is last reported as having 14,000 members across the state, and they're strictly born in the prison system. You cannot join in the jail. You cannot join on the street. State prisons are governed by the TDC, Texas Department of Corrections. County jails, they're governed by the sheriff or the county of that level. Municipalities, city jails, you get little street cred. You have to be part of a state prison in order to get on with the Tango Blast. Usually the recruitment process starts as somebody approaches you. You make sure that you're Tango material, meaning you're going to back them up in a good fight. What they'll do is they'll engage you, have about 2 guys, at least 2, but I've seen up to 10, 15 guys to fight one man. That man usually has to last anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes. And if he's still standing at the end of it, he's on with him. You don't have to die in order to leave the gang organization. That's one of the high selling points of being Tango Blast is once you're done with your prison stint, you can go ahead and just leave the gang life behind you. You're not going to get killed. They're not going to hold it against you because that's not how they operate. Tango Blast is notorious as well as famous for being the most unhinged of all gangs, though, due to their lack of structure and central leadership. They don't have to ask permission from anybody to carry out any type of criminal act. The usual criminality can include, but is not limited to, murder, robbery, extortion, kidnapping, drug deals, drug muling, transport for the cartels. Tango Blast has one strict policy, and that was for them to answer to no one. There's no central leadership. All members are there to support each other for any type of endeavor. One of the greatest examples I can give is the fact that they don't ever let each other starve. If they just met somebody on the street and they're in prison together and one guy is Tango, the other guy is Tango, that guy is going to give him half of his food, guaranteed. That's just part of it. They'll share with everybody within the group, even if they never met, but they expect the same type of outcome as far as fights go. Mexican Mafia member or Blood or Crip approaches them and they start a fight. It doesn't matter if they've only met them once in their entire life, they will back them up. Another main aspect of the game enticement for this group is the non-partaking of the ancient prison moniker, which is made famous by a film with the same title, Blood in, Blood Out. I already touched on that. It simply means that you have to kill somebody to get in, and you're not going to leave the gang until you die. Basically, that's one of the main reasons why Tango was formed. They didn't want to be followed. Once they left prison, they wanted to be their own man. Traditional prison gangs can't challenge them because their numbers are just so high. Usually Tangos outnumber them 4-1. Mexican Mafia and Texas Syndicate are one of their oldest considerable enemies. Mexican Mafia or La M, they were born in Folsom State Prison out in California back in the 60s. And then they migrated over to, branched out to different states such as New Mexico, Arizona, and of course Texas. Tango Blast started off as part of Mexican Mafia, being their hitman, doing their dirty work, but eventually they didn't like answering to them, and that's what had them branch out. Texas Syndicate is also one of Texas's oldest prison gangs. And they follow the old rules, politics. They are indeed a blood in, blood out organization, and there's been several instances where TS, Texas Syndicate, and Tango Blast have got into it several hundreds of times, thousands of times, due to Tango not ever backing down from anybody because they have the numbers to back them up. My first prison unit had about 1,200 men. 700 of those guys were probably Tango Blast. Tango Blast is originally from Houston. They expanded and sprung several satellite sets throughout the major cities in Texas. There's a term known as the Four Horsemen. There are various sets that make up the major cities of Texas. Houston, they call themselves Houstons from H-Town. Dallas, from D-Town. Fort Worth, known as Foros, Foritos, Funky Town. Austin is known as ATX, or Capirucha, that's the Spanish word for capital. They're the original cities. They're called the Four Horsemen, but it's not limited to just the Four Horsemen. There are sets of Tango all over the state. El Paso has the Chucos. You got West Texas. They're part of Tango. You also have the Midland, Odessa area, as well as the Valley, which is very south bottom of Texas, all the way down towards the Mexico. Tango Blasts are usually exclusive to prisons only. I was reminded the other day of the existence of Tango Blast within the facility. One of the inmates yelled out towards me an old Tango Blast moniker, which is, "If you ain't blasting, you ain't lasting." It was just a verbal jab at me, just to see what my reaction would be. Everybody knows I'm from Texas, so they wanted to see what I would do. It was a weird feeling, but I laughed it off. I knew there wasn't any tango up here in the KDOC. I just have to deal with your regular Bloods, Crips, your Folk Nation, Woods, Aryans, Gangster Disciples, and Spanish Disciples. They all follow the old prison politics, which I know how to approach them, what to expect. With Tango Blast, it's always a different day of chaos. Thank you so much. Have a good night.